What's good, YouTube? It's George, back again from the Sanctum Squad. Feels good to say that after such a long hiatus, but with the format on the up a bit now and hopefully a ban list coming, then I think you'll see a bit more of us, as Jake was explaining in the last video. Today I'm bringing you a deck I've been messing around with since really January. I haven't really played much else, and it's Sun Avalons, or like general plant link. We're going to go through the list that I've got at the minute with the new cards, the new Therion stuff, and some suggestions on what you can and can't run in the deck, and just a general discussion. So if you like plants, if you're here for plant link, or if you want to play a new fun, quite explosive deck, then I think you'll give this, you'll enjoy this and give this one a watch. This is the list that I'm currently running with the new Therion stuff that comes out in a few weeks. And as I said, here's a couple of extras that we'll go through. But yeah, it's fairly standard if you know your plant link, but the deck isn't very well known, so I'm going to go through the stuff that isn't so obvious. So you start off with your 3 Genius Loci. This really is the lifeblood of the deck. The deck can't play without this. You need to see it, which is why you run the unexpected dies alongside it, just to get it out, and the painful decisions to search it as well. So effectively you've got 9 copies of Genius Loci. It's hard to like explain how good and explosive this one normal summon or special summon is, but I will go into some combos at the end, just some cookie cutter stuff. For your other sort of Sunvine related or Sunseed cards, you've got Sunseed Twin and Sunseed Shadow. Twin is your main one. When it's normal or special summoned, while you got one of the links, you can revive this from the grave, which is what you always revive, and that's central on the combos with Sowing. On the off chance that you open this, we also run a Shadow to summon off the Sowing. Shadow's fine as well if you open, because he's just another free body. So all of these cards are really free and facilitate spamming little baby plant monsters onto the board to begin your link climbing and searching your stuff. For the rest of the sort of general plant support, we run 3 Lone Fire Blossom. The lists that have been doing well with this lately have been playing the Brave stuff. I'm not, because I just can't see it surviving a list. And also, if it does survive a list, it's very easy to just slap it back in. You won't require much thought, you'll know what ratios are correct. But yeah, Lone Fire at 3 in this list. It's at 2 in most of the Brave ones, but because you don't have the restriction on normal summons, you're free to play more than the 2, because you can actually just normal summon this to get going. We also run 3 Rose Girl. I don't see any lists play this. This is a card I'm quite familiar with due to Sylvans. I absolutely love that deck, and you play it in this. You play it in that rather. And I play it in this, and it's fantastic. It's a free special summon again. The whole deck's just free, but it lets you chain block your important links, like your Dryas going off or your Melius when you want to revive this. So it's really good. It's also a tuner, and there's some cool ways you can use this to make Perialis to unbrick your hand if you've opened Mardel. It's so good. Honestly, I don't know why more people aren't playing this. It's just bodies, and that's just always good in this deck. We run 1 Spore and 1 Carrotway. These go in tandem. This lets you make Aromatherapy, Sweet Marjoram, which is another interruption and targeting protection. These are just a little couple of cards. You discard this with a Shrine, and then you revive this by discarding Spore, and then Spore revives it, and you've got your level 6 Synchro. They're not as relevant in this list with Rose Girl, because if you open just the 1 Rose Girl, and you don't need to rely on chain blocking, you can hold this for your later plays and search something better than these 2 when you go into your Jasmine lines, which we'll show shortly. Aramage Laurel, this card is so integral to the deck. It's kind of hard to explain how integral this card is, but basically if you've got high life points, it's a free summon again, and when it's sent to the grave you gain 500. The other effects are irrelevant. You search this off Mardel. We all know what Mardel does, and when this leaves the board, you will have 2 Jasmines on, and if you didn't know, the search effect of Jasmine isn't a once per turn like the summon effect. So yeah, you get 2 triggers of this, which is a bit nutty. As we say, the Mardel facilitates this. Mardel usually searches this, although there are some lines now where you want to search Lilaboria. Snowdrop the Rika Fairy is an interesting card to note. I've made a little note of all the other Rika cards here, because we are getting Rika excuse me, we are getting Rika support in the new set. And I will go through that at the end. But yeah, some lists play this with Mudan and the trap card. I will actually get it up for you. Ricochet, I believe it's called. This card, yeah. It's like a worse crackdown. I don't know why we're playing this. This card's genuinely cheeks. We should not be playing this. But this on its own is really good as it unblocks your hand. It lets you get Mardell out your hand. Another way to do that if you didn't open the Rose Girl. And it just gets cards out your hand. It's class with Lone Fire as well if you opened a Lone Fire and you didn't need to use it, because then it just becomes effectively E-tally for any plant. The newest section of the deck are these cards, and after doing some testing, I am very, very happy with how they play. So the Therions, we all know, the big one here, Regulus, he's seen playing Earth Machine. They see play across other decks, but there's a plant one and we can take advantage of it. So it's the same summoning condition as all the other Therions, which we all know by now. You can equip plants to summon it. And then it searches the spell trap, so it searches the field spell Therion's Ring, which then searches King Regulus. So then not only do you get a free body in Borea, you also get an Omni Negate from the Regulus, which is just insane. It's also a reason why if the Brave Engine does get hit, I don't think this deck will decline as other decks that use the Brave Engine might do. Because we've got a ready-made replacement that is not only an extender and is highly searchable, it's also like lets you play extra normal summon cards that can go off there and doesn't conflict. I'm not saying it's better than the Brave Engine, I'm just saying for now I feel more comfortable playing this than the Brave Engine, but if the Brave Engine doesn't get hit somehow, then I don't think there's any problem in playing both of the engines. And yeah, so we run for the spells 2 Sunvine Sowing. This is the E-tally of the deck. This really is like what made the deck actually playable. We got it fairly recently, the end of last year. It's E-tally from the deck for the plants and locks you in. It's also got Balinx protection by Battle or card effect, which is interesting with cards like Ghost Ogre running around at the minute, or if they just want to try and run over your plants, because some of them aren't very big. You can just Balinx, and a lot of players don't actually clock onto that, which is pretty nifty. We also run one Shrine. This is like a reborn for the Loci. It's also a good way to get carried away into the grave after you've searched it. And just more extenders, more plays. You just need as many bodies as possible at any given time, really. The reason I'll come back to Sowing for a second. This card is arguably playable at 3. I think 2's fine because you don't really want to start on it. You can't really get anywhere on its own, so I think playing the 2's fine. It's searchable through the Dryas, it's heavily searchable, same with the Shrine actually. We run the Therion's Field Spell as we said earlier. On the Therions, there is the possibility to, it's already a 44 card list, and there is a possibility to extend this further. Apologies if you can hear the cat in the background, they're having a mare. We can run the Therion's Charge to draw cards in case we open this. We can run the aggro system, or whatever it's called, to mill Regulus and then clone the effect by using the Lily. So there is that, and there's also the Negate one that they have as well, which if you do decide to open up the Therion package in this and just play more Therions, you'll end up playing more of the field spell, and I think this gets a better place in the deck, excuse me, because you'll have more viable targets for it. Moving on to the traps, we run just 2 that aren't imperm, and that's Sun Avalon Bloom and Blessed Winds. Blessed Winds it reads really poorly, but it has an effect that lets you gain life points, which will proc your Marjoram on your opponent's turn for a targeted destruction. Also, this deck is like amazing in time, because your combos take forever, and you always end up on higher life points than your opponent. So it's cool in that sense. Sun Avalon Bloom is like a watered down skill drain. But it's searchable by the Dry Trentier, so there is that. It's also got a effect where it can boost attack. It comes up once in a blue moon when people try and run over your stuff. It's not really relevant, but you mainly play it for that skill drain-esque effect. The rest of this really is flex spots. I decided to go for 3 Nib, 2 Ash, 2 Ghost Ogre, 2 Imperm, and then the 3 Crossouts. I feel like Crossouts really good at the minute, and Nib can ruin your day. Not so much now we got Regulus. And especially if you're playing the Brave stuff, I would still urge you to play the Crossouts, even more so if you're playing the Brave stuff, to be honest, because this just becomes the best card in the game if you're playing the Brave stuff and your opponent is as well. But yeah, mainly for the Nib in this list and the other hand traps that might put you off. Moving on to just the extra deck, we've got 2 Dryas. I see a lot of lists play 3. I was playing 3. To be honest, I haven't had the 3rd come up. So there is that. I'm not saying you shouldn't play 3. I think I might flip-flop and go back to 3. But yeah, this card, the crux of the deck, it's the Link 1. It does everything. It searches your spell traps, and it lets you summon out a Sunvine for free from the extra deck when you take damage, which sowing does. It burns you for 1,000. This not one effect of this card is once per turn, which is really crucial. So there's that. We run one healer. This card's only here to gain us life points, so then we can proc our Laurel in the combo, and it also comes out as a free summon off the Dryas, so it's just free, more free stuff. We run one Thrasher, if I can get my words out. This card is okay. It's just a beat stick, really. Oh, excuse me. It goes up to 2400, and then with the Melius combo, you can make it attack a bunch of times, and it's just how you win. If they break your board and you need to climb again or something. We run 2 Jasmine. Both effects come up. They both always come up. This card is the linchpin of the deck. This card is so good. You talk about broken Link 2s. I think this card is certainly up there with cards like Assault and whatnot. A new card that I am testing at the moment is Peony, the Sylvan Dancer. I was ecstatic when we got this card because I love Sylvans. Unfortunately, I think we need more than just a little Link 2 to make Sylvans anywhere near viable, but its effects are really good. On summon, you excavate up to 3, summon up to 2 plants, and then mill the rest. And then you can target a plant in the grave, and the plant monsters it points to become that level. So if you are playing this, cards to consider playing includes Sylvan Princess Sprite. You'll always have a Loci in the grave, or a Shadow, or a Spore, or a Laurel, so you can easily make them level 1. And Princess Sprite just says detach a card, detach a material, look at the top card. If it's a spell trap, add it to your hand. If it's anything else, send it to the graveyard, which is fine for you. But yeah, this card's really good. It also allows for further link climbing, because when you link this away, you can also use Princess Sprite to send another plant monster from your hand or field to revive this, so it's effectively a free Link 3. We run 2 Melias. I have been compelled at points to play 3 of this, just because on your turn 1 combo, you can go through both, and you often do, and the third would really help on the 3rd turn when you're pushing for game, because he just is a free Link 4. He's really good, and once again, he's not once per turn. Dry Trentier. I think this card's basically the de facto boss monster of the deck, although it's probably the worst boss monster in the game. The only reason it is good is because it searches the skill drain. Other than that, it's got an effect to tribute and pop some stuff, but it just never comes up because it never lives past that turn. And then my favourite card in the deck is actually Bengalancer. He's a quick effect Compulse, which is pretty cool, and he also revives himself the following turn, so he's a good boy. We like Bengalancer, we always try and end on him. We've mentioned Marjoram in conjunction with the Blessed Winds. You can run some other Aromaseraphy cards. You can run Angelica, who is effectively another free extender, but yeah, just for the time being we run this. Perialis, I don't see any lists play this either. This card is really good. It helps you unbrick your hand if you open the Mardel, and you can make it quite easily with a Rose Girl in those situations. We also run 1 Teardrop. You can make this piece of cake with Snowdrop, and you can also use it with Peony. And then we run 1 Dragos Tepelita because I side Super Poly, and Dragos Tepelita is very good in this because it's a plant, so if you're locked in, it doesn't matter. And yeah, Super Poly and Princess Sprite. As for other cards to play, I want to discuss the Rika stuff as a whole, so I'm going to just come back to that. You can run the second healer, because it does sometimes come up, or the by healer. Rose Lover's an interesting card. If you don't know what this card does, you can banish it from the graveyard and special summon a plant monster from your hand, and if you do, it's unaffected by trap effects, which is irrelevant, but it just gets more stuff out of your hand. It's great if you've opened the Mardel. You want as many ways as possible, really, to get the Mardel out of your hand so you can keep playing. And Rose Lover's okay. There are ways to like mill it and stuff, so you can do it that way. It's also good if you open Lone Fire. But yeah, the Rika stuff. Oh, excuse me. The Rika stuff. I haven't tested this with the new card, which is Rika Snow Princess, who is honestly insane. I am very excited too. Now, this will, in my opinion, replace the Brave engine almost definitely when the Brave Engine gets hit, but for the time being I think this will replace the Brave Engine, and here is why. So it all hinges around, or hangs on, Rika Snow Princess. During your main phase you can summon her for free, but you're locked into plants while she's on the field. Important. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can shuffle this card from your hand or graveyard into the deck and tribute a plant monster, and then you negate that effect. It's effectively Griffin Rider. This card's insane. This card is so good for the deck. Free body, negate. Something you might have noticed is without the Brave Engine and without the Therions, this deck doesn't have any way to put out negates. The boss monsters are skill drain and a bounce and a pop. So anything like this was a welcome addition to the deck, and it definitely will see play. It triggers its own effect. Since it's a Rika monster itself, you will just have to have a plant monster on board to tribute, which could get a bit sticky. I don't think it'll be the end of the world though. And it also triggers from graveyard. So if you're confident in sticking a Rika, if you've made Teardrop early, or Strenna for instance, you can use this as free link material, safe in the knowledge that you can just banish it from the graveyard, which I think is a real nice element of versatility that this card has over other cards like Griffin Rider, where you don't have that same level of versatility. Now, if the Rika stuff does become salient and is used in the deck, this card will definitely be played at 3 alongside the 1 Snowdrop. I think a card that could see more play is Rika Petal. Now this is just a level 1 plant. During the main phase you can take a Rika from your deck, add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, but you get locked into plants no matter what. So it's like Oviraptor in a sense. And then during the end phase it revives itself, which is cool. But yeah, so this would be the card that gets you to your Snow Princess, or your Snowdrop, or your Mudan, who some lists do play at the minute. I don't really rate it. I think the payoff with Rika Sheet is not worth it. But Mudan's a good card. Tribute a plant monster and special summon it from the hand, and then if it's summoned you can search a Rika spell trap. Now we have quite a couple of interesting options for this. But yeah, I think the package, when the Rika stuff gets played, I think I'm going to start testing it with 3 of this, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then maybe the Rika Flurries if I feel like it could have a place. It's only really good going second, but Mudan will definitely see a place in the deck, and it already does. I just don't think the payoff's worth it at the moment, but when we get Rika Snow Princess I think it will be. New spell we get is Rika Arrival. This lets you, if you control a Rika, to set a Rika spell trap from your deck to the spell trap card zone. And then if you would, its other effect is a lingering effect, where it says if you would tribute a plant monster to activate a Rika effect, you can tribute a face-up monster your opponent controls instead. This works as a condition. It becomes part of the summon process of whatever it is you're bringing out. So it means that monsters like Dragoon or pain in the arse monsters like that, you will easily out with Rika Arrival. Effectively see it as like a kaiju in that sense. And yeah, the card you will probably want to be setting is Rika Glamour. This card's fantastic. This card's really good. You can activate it and search a Rika. Then you can also tribute a plant at the same time and search any other plant that has the same level as that Rika does. This is absolutely phenomenal. This means you can search Snowdrop and Lilyboria, which is just crackers. You can search, when we're playing Petal, you can search Petal and Genus Loci, or Shadow, or Spore, or Laurel. If we're playing the level 4, there isn't actually a target. I mean, you can search Carrotway, which is like whatever. Same with Mudan, but yeah, being able to search the Lilyboria amongst the Shadow and the Loci is fantastic. You really, really need to see this card to have any kind of insurance, payoff, or even contingency if you play a further Therion's engine for this card. This card is so good. And Rika Glamour gets you there. Other cards you could run, I mentioned Flurries. It's okay. To be honest, I don't think you would play Flurries now, just because of the field spell. The field spell replaces Flurries in one sense, because you don't have to make your opponent for the Flurries. You can just tribute them yourself with the new spell. Tranquility is just not a very good card. You really don't want to be running this. And then Ricochet. My thoughts on Ricochet I have made crystal clear so far. I don't like this card. I think tributing a monster for an imperm and then a crackdown is just, I feel like there's excuse me, I feel like there's a lot better things we can play, and I would sooner play something like Rika Glamour, which is going to be a card that gets us to our Liliboria, gets us to our Snowdrop, gets us to our Snow Princess or Petal. So I would rather prioritise that consistency than a very weak payoff in Rika Sheet. Now, if we do start playing the Rika cards, there also exists no reason really for us to not play this card, which is Parallel Exceed. This goes in tandem with the Strenna, and I actually do see some people play this already. I don't think it's very good at the minute, but with the Strenna, you can make Strenna off your Parallel Exceed. Strenna's great, detaches a card, gets you a card back, and then if it's tributed you can summon a 5 or higher Plantic Seas. I do apologise for the yawning. The two targets I've earmarked, aside from Teardrop, which getting online as soon as possible is probably the priority, especially when we start playing Snow Princess, because you can just link this off and then you're still insured because you're controlling a Rika Teardrop. Aurea is okay. Let you look at the top couple of cards, which you would have to do to use the other effect, which is detaching an Xyz and then excavating 1 to 3. You mill any plants and then you bounce that many cards. This card's okay. It would definitely be going second. So it's alright. I think it's a lot better than Hypertron, which is what people are playing at the minute. I think this card absolutely blows. I think this card's awful. This card, there's no flexibility in this card, it's just awful. But it would definitely be Aurea or Teardrop, most likely Teardrop, as I say, for the Snow Princess players. So that's it really. I've covered most of the options for the plant stuff, and I'm just now going to show you a couple of test hands. So here we are. So literally just one card, Genius Loci. This isn't going to be a definitive way that you should go about the combos, it's just going to be a rough guide and show you the bridges. So we'll obviously start with the normal summon and we'll go into the Dryas. Now Dryas triggers here and lets us get the Sowing. It's important it's always the Sowing because the pluses here are pretty good. Sowing is your E-Tally, you summon out your twin, and then you lose 1,000, and now you've got 2 chain links. I always tend to use Dryas as chaining 1 because I think the effect to gain the life points back and plus yourself by 300 is crucial for the rest of your combos, and then twin revise your Loci. You gain 1,000, you summon Healer, and then Healer procs on the summon as well, targeting the Dryas, and you gain 300. So now you have more life points than your opponent. All your Arrow Mage players are online, and you just got a lot of fodder to be able to do what you want essentially. So we're going to go into the Jasmine, and we're going to use the Jasmine. We'll tribute the Loci. It's always better to try and keep this card in the grave, as a lot of your effects revolve around that, revolve rather. And we will get Mardell. Now from here, you can use your Mardell to search your Laurel. You can use it to search your Therion's Berea, Liliboria. I have only tentatively tested with this card and I haven't got the lines nailed down to a T. I do think, however, for now, you should always get your Laurel off your Mardell. This way you will benefit from having both the searches of the Jasmine like this. So you'll summon your Laurel because you've got more life points than your opponent, and you will turn the Mardell and the Laurel into the Jasmine. Now your Laurel will trigger to get you 500, and then because you gain life points, both your Jasmines actually activate, which is pretty nifty. So from here, you've got a couple of options. Rose Girl is an option, doesn't usually come up. These two will get you to the Aromaseraphy Marjoram play, so there's that to bear in mind. Snowdrop's good if you've hard opened some of your bricks. Liliboria is the real payoff here, and you always want to try and get this card. So we're going to add 1 Liliboria, and then with the next card off the Jasmine, it really does depend on your hand. I'm going to opt for the Rose Girl, I think, just so I have access to the Jasmine, or potential access to the Jasmine, at a later date. Now you want to prioritise using your Liliboria pretty much instantly. You can actually add back or summon back the Laurel if you want. You won't gain the effect of the life point gain because that's a hard once per turn for some reason. But now you can use your Liliboria stuff. you can just send the laurel like that, add the Therion ring, and from here you're free to go. This becomes just link fodder basically, and there's a couple of bridges you can go off now. You can make Peony, which adds a bit of variance to your combos and might not be the worst option, especially if your hand is like this. So say you've got like 3 hand traps as your other cards, or 4 hand traps, you don't have all the extenders in the world. Peony might be the one just to take a risk on. For now we're just going to show you the standard combo, which is going into the Melius with a view to go into the Bengalancer and the Dry Trentier. So we're going to use we're going to summon Melius. We will use the Lily Borea, and I think I want to use this Jasmine, so I have the open zone off the Melius. That might come up. I'm just trying to think whether I want to use that Jasmine. No, we won't. We'll use that. We'll finish. Now we can go into Melius. Melius is going to get us back the Loci. Over there, preferably. So now we're gonna want to get rid of this Jasmine, and we can do that by we could go into Peony here actually. Although I think Bengalancer's the play, to be honest. If we go into Bengalancer, we can't really go into Bengalancer because we need to summon the monster here, so we can get maximum effect off the Genius Loci. So yeah, this might be a misplay, and again, it really does just depend on what is in your hand. I'm really resisting the urge to just summon Peony and just go for the variants, but no, we'll stick to the game plan. We will use no, we're just going to go for the Bengalancer, I think, using the Jasmine, the Loci, and the Twin. Like that. I think that's right. I'm not sure. Is that correct? That doesn't feel correct. This is the thing you have to get down with the plans, is like the combos are really, you have to really plan ahead. It's a bit like DDD if you ever played that, where you have to really consider what your next move is, because you can so easily just end on a board of nothing because you made one misstep a couple of combos ago. I think for this instance we're going to get, we really need to get rid of this, and we just need to use this. So I think if we go into the second Melius, actually, yeah, we're going to go into Peony, because here we can get some free value off the Peony, hopefully, and we could have treated the Rose Girl there, but we haven't, just because we want to see what we get off Peony. So Peony gives us a Loci, and an unexpected die. I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. We get both the Locis out, and there we go. And yeah, so like I said, the Peony was the right play there, just because we've just got 2 free monsters for it. It might have been prudent to actually make the Peony there, and then we could have a teardrop online, which is something that we need to remember for when the Rika stuff becomes relevant. As for now, we can just go into Dryas using the Sunseed Genius Loci. Use the Dryas effect. This is going to get a Shrine. Now you want to hold this Rose Girl because it's going to be discard fodder in this hand, although in a regular hand you'd have other cards to discard. These can't actually be used as link material, which is a bit of a ball ache. I don't think it's the end of the world though. We can use, we can go Dryas and, what am I making? I've just completely forgotten what I've clicked. We're going to go into Dry Entry A, and we can use these two. Dry Entry A is going to search us as Sun Avalon Bloom. I've just realised as well, I should have summoned the Regulus a couple of steps ago, so we will go back and do that. We're going to get our Regulus, and this should have been on the board from a while ago, which actually kind of changes the play with the Peony. It means you do kind of want to summon it up there. But that's okay, and we knew we should have done that anyway. So there we go. What's beckoning me from the grave? Oh, the Twin, okay. So now, we can't use these as link material, but it's not the end of the world, because we can activate Sun Avalon Shrine and discard the Rose Girl, unfortunately. And now we can go into Melius. We can use, no we can't, now we can use the Shrine first, reviving the Loci, and now we will go into the Melius with the new Loci. We don't want to use that, no. Melius with Peony and your guy. We'll go into the Melius. Melius effect revives the other Loci, And now we just go into our Bengal answer, and from there we've got a couple of things going on here. We can we've got the skill drain, which we will set. We've got an Omni Negate with Regulus. We've got a bounce with Bengal Lancer. With a bit of refining and sort of sequencing, we could have done something more with these. We could have put the Peony up here instead, got into Teardrop, and that will be incredibly, it will be a lot more relevant once we get the Rika cards, because now we would have not only one but two negates online. We'd have a monster effect negate, we'd have the Omni Negate with the Regulus, we've had the bounce with the Bengal Lancer, and we'd have the Sun Avalon Bloom. That's just a fairly standard combo, and you can kind of see the lines from where we are. Your combos will always just begin and end with this normal summon of the Loci, and when you get to this point of summoning the Dryas searching, of course, the Sowing, never the Shrine that early unless you've already opened the Sowing, of course. Activating the Sowing, we're going to get the Twin out. And yeah, we got Chain Link 1 on the Dryas. Always remember to do Chain Link 1 on the Dryas, in my opinion anyway. Your mileage may vary. But yeah, we will go into the Loci, and then we will use the Dryas to go into the Healer, gaining us 300. This is your standard starting play of every single board. You need to get this down to a T, because this is where you go. We are locked into plant monsters now, only from the extra deck, which is really pertinent with Regulus to remember. But yeah, if you're interested in this deck, try and get to this point and just do some testing. See where you can go, see what you can do. And I would love to hear if you've been able to improve any of this slightly, because as I say, this is a deck in flux. And the Sun Avalon group is always, you know, every week it seems like there's something new for us to consider on the plant stuff. So yeah, that was the list, and that was just a combo and a way to show you how to get to a standard play. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider dropping it a like, and again, do mention any comments you might have about the plants. I will answer them, and I would also be intrigued to see what you have to say. Thanks a bunch for watching. This is George from the Sanctum Squad signing off.